enter now into a time of meditation and reflection. But you know that little song Bill played just before we sent the kids? He was warming us up. Because he's a brilliant man, and I'm so glad to be working with him. Because we're going to do something a little different today. You're not surprised to hear, right? It's my last day for the summer. I got to do something different yet again. So we're going to reflect, we're going to meditate, but in a joyful frame. So I've never tried this before, but you have been willing so far to go with me into new rituals, new hymns, new ways of doing things. And so I trust that you will try this with me in a zesty spirit of adventure. Prayerfulness need not always be solemn. According to the Guru Osho, when you have a heartfelt belly laugh, all parts of your being, the physiological, the psychological, the spiritual, they all vibrate in one single tune. They all vibrate in harmony. So let's create together a laughing meditation. Okay, first we'll stretch, then we'll laugh, and then we'll sit together in silence. So first, rise in body and spirit. Let us stretch. Stretch our arms to the sky. Stretch our necks. Stretch our fingers. Pull our arms over our head if we can. Lean to the sides. Stretch out your faces. Stretch out your jaws. Yawning might help. Yeah. Don't yawn now. I didn't really. Okay, you ready? Okay, so now we're going to meditate on and by laughing. So first a little instruction. Okay, you can sit down if you want to, or you can remain standing, whatever's better for you. So as you laugh, bring mindful awareness to that moment of laughter. Whatever you experience in the moment, laugh with it. Make it your companion. So try to laugh with yourself or with a partner if that works better, but don't laugh at anybody, right? Don't do that. Okay? All right, so we're going to begin. So just half smile, turn up the corners of your mouth, and start smiling. Really beautiful. Thank you. And now broaden your smile and just start laughing without exerting any force.
All right.
So let's just sit together. So in French cooking, it's quite common to use something called a bouquet garni. It's a little packet of herbs and spices tied up in a cheesecloth or in a little envelope of leeks or even in a tea strainer. The packet infuses flavors into sauces and dishes, but you remove the little packet before you eat the dish. In other words, you don't eat the herbs and spices, you eat their essence. Now, as a child who grew up on food full of chunks, onions, tomatoes, parsley, oregano, this was a very strange idea. It seemed a little wasteful also. I had to be reminded as a child not to eat the bay leaf in the beef stew. I thought everything was food. Essence of herbs rather than the herbs themselves. But the herbs are infused equally, part of the whole dish and not simply one vibrant bite. As I learned to appreciate French cuisine, I understood the zest of such herbal infusions. Flavorful for sure, but also inventive, worked at to get at all that herby goodness, processed, but in a good way. For all the tastiness of a tomato fresh from the vine, for all the purported benefits of a raw diet, cooking releases taste and nutrients in foods we humans can't get at in any other way. Not too long ago, I read a book by British primatologist Richard Wrangham called Catching Fire, How Cooking Made Us Human. The title is pretty clear. It wasn't tools, it was cooking that turned us from animals to people. Our zest for life emerges, at least in part, from the zest we seek in food, both eating it, making it, eating it in company, and within the food itself. When I arrived here in the fall, it was with no small amount of trepidation. I expected to be working with ministers who were some of the major movers and shakers of our faith community. I expected to be working in one of the signature buildings of our denomination, a Louis Kahn building. I expected to be working on the cutting edge project that would bring our faith into the larger world. This was sure to be one of the zestiest, most lively internships of all times. It would be the very spice of life, the more on top of the mundane, the extra kick that would give me an edge, the leg up I would need as an older ministerial candidate, notoriously bad at networking and completely unknown to the UUA leadership. I'm still unknown. Of course, none of that happened. None of that happened. All of that was an overblown idea of what my internship would look like. A projection into an idealized future that was simply a story I was telling myself. The future is never certain. It is always unfolding. What I expected was that I would work with a group of ministers. What I expected was that I would be directly supervised by one of those ministers. What I expected was that I would split my time between First U and Canandaigua. What I expected was a limited project like RE or social justice. One thing I would work on in detail and in depth, maybe get good at. That I might preach once a month, that I would observe board meetings, not participate in it. However, this is not the internship that unfolded for me. Have I shared with you how I learned to swim back when I was 5? I've never told you that story? My father, an excellent swimmer by all accounts, tossed me into the deep end, and I swam. So I somehow became a deep end of the pool kind of person. And so the internship that I have had this last year, not the one I envisioned, not the one I expected, this internship has been perfect for me. Full of zest and spicy aplenty. And where were you as a congregation when I arrived last fall? What kind of pool were you? I can tell you this, something I have said many times, but which bears repeating again and again and again, very repetitiously. You were, you are a kind people. Kind people. Warm, welcoming, inclusive, generous, humorous, and open-hearted. Those are the core characteristics of this congregation, of your congregation. At your heart, at your core, you are a heart-warm people. there were some other things going on as well. I witnessed anger. I witnessed confusion. I witnessed betrayal. I witnessed healthy church systems that didn't seem to work very well anymore, that were in disarray. In some ways, the zest of life seemed sucked out of you. Who was authorized to oversee church programs? How was RE to be rebuilt, staffed, and supervised? What pastoral care was needed and who would supply it? Bylaws were dug up and dusted off, but there was so much to do and so much seemingly not going well. And then there was the building project, right? Underway in terms of planning, but unclear in terms of scope and design. There was money, and how much would it really cost? And then on top of all of that, there was the presumption of an interim period, a period of reflection and questioning, a period of brooding, sitting on your eggs on the nest and waiting for them to hatch. That is a lot. That is really a lot for any kind of church to confront all at once. And without a minister, without your own minister, without a spiritual leader to advise and to guide, to inspire and to comfort you. The deep end of the pool was deep indeed and murky. The zest of life seemed sucked out of you, but still there was spice in there. How did you pick up and go on? How did you keep your congregation together despite the turmoil, the frustration, the anxiety? That warm-heartedness, for sure, that helped. That goes a long way. But there's much, much more. Yours is a welcoming congregation. There's a sign in the vestibule that says that. You did the work for that certification, and you live it. The same welcome goes to LGBTQ siblings as to straight siblings. The all-gender bathrooms. Your history of including in the life of your congregation all sexualities. This congregation has some strong bones. And there's your commitment to Green Sanctuary. You did that certification too, and you live it. I can't tell you how horrified that compost bin in the kitchen made me when I first arrived. I'm quite used to it now. But you recycle, you work on energy savings, you compost, you bring your own reusable bags, very far advanced from paper or plastic. As a congregation, you work at making as light a footprint as possible on the earth. And so many of you live greenly in your lives beyond the congregation. There are lots of Priuses and Leafs and hybrids in that parking lot. And many of you eating vegan and vegetarian. This congregation has some very good bones indeed. Now, I myself, I began my time with you, some of you remember, declaring I love bacon. I did that. And now I'm no longer eating pork, on the path to a way of eating that is better for the overall health of the planet. Individually and collectively, you are a force. You have what it takes to change lives for the better. And that is a very good thing, my friends, a very good thing, because the world is crying out every day and constantly for change and renewal. The misery and injustice run rampant. These agonies call out to us, demand of us a way to return to the zest of life, to enthusiasm and a reason to celebrate this always mysterious gift of our existence out of a fiery blast and millennia of primordial ooze. Just 6 weeks ago, I spoke to you of the injustices in the very fabric of the Unitarian Universalist Association, our religious organization. I told you about a female religious educator of color passed over for an important regional job, a job that was filled by a white man. And I told you that while we will never know the exact details of that hiring decision, the event set off an exposure of the many ways that systematic racism pervades UUA culture, the ways that the whole system seems to be set up to give privilege to those humans who present as white and male. Recent news from the UUA gives yet another indication that corruption occurs even when the best of intentions are there, even within a denomination that makes it its business to work for justice and freedom for all. We now have learned that corporate-style severance packages had been negotiated by the men at the top. Exorbitant packages for a religious institution and for which the UUA is legally responsible. The controversies swirling are structuring the General Assembly and the presidential election coming up next week. They are all that's being talked about and really all that should be. We go to New Orleans, and these controversies are agonizing and soul-deadening, sapping all the zest out of our denomination, forcing people to question, do they want to remain part of this denomination? Has liberal religion failed since it has so significantly failed to live up to its own principles? There is a holy trinity of ingredients: bell peppers, onions, and celery. A holy trinity that forms the base of all Cajun cooking, that style of cooking central to Louisiana culture. I surely hope there is enough of that trinity in New Orleans next week to bring the UUA back to its senses. And you know, not only in our little corner of the world have the horrors of injustice utterly seized the day, but are running up and down, stomping on our moral compasses. A black man is shot 7 times by a police officer in St. Paul, Minnesota, while complying at a traffic stop. Philando Castile had a lot of outstanding warrants against him. Parking tickets he didn't pay because he was too poor. Does that make a person a felon? The officer fired into his vehicle as Mr. Castile sat in the driver's seat, his girlfriend and a 4-year-old child also in the car. The officer was found this week not guilty of second-degree manslaughter, not of intentional discharge of a firearm that endangers safety. Why do we need to proclaim Black Lives Matter? Because clearly they do not yet. Not enough. A celebrity of august reputation, a TV dad who helped to normalize race for white viewers, is accused of rape by scores of women. He claims that secretly drugging them remains within the scope of consensual sex. What does that phrase, consensual sex, even mean? There is sex, to which all parties consent, and then there is rape, to which at least one did not or could not consent. The jury deliberated long, but it could not make a unanimous decision, and a mistrial was declared. Why do we need an equal rights amendment? Because clearly women's lives continue to mean less than men's in the structures, in the institutions of our country. And you know, these events, they hurt all of us. No matter our race, no matter our gender. These events are an affront to the sacredness of humanity. It doesn't matter if you're in the dominant group, it still hurts you. From the UUA to our larger society, these sorts of behaviors and the non-action which leaves structures of oppression in place, this sucks the joy, the zest, the spice right out of life. We are swimming in waters that shape all of us and that bog us down, making it hard to reach the shores of righteousness and justice. So easy to fall into despair, to retreat into a safe and soft inner world, family life, church community. How easy to shut it all out, or at least want to. Such a retreat is understandable. But as with the zesting of the lemon skin, even as we struggled to zest it, as with the crushing of herbs between our fingers, it's a bit of scraping and bruising that can truly uncover the value of something. A diamond, after all, is just a chunk of carbon until it's polished. The abrasions of life hurt. And those hurts reveal both what is wrong and what is right. What is good. And focusing on, working for the good, the right, that need is crying out to us as a people of faith, as a people committed to justice for all, and the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a small but vital and conscious part. Now, I'm sure you've noticed, because I've been watching your faces, that there have been a lot of mixed metaphors today. Boiling pots of water and swimming pools, right? Herbs and spices and trinities of flavor, good bones, lots of mixed metaphors. But it all comes down to one thing. It always comes down to one thing. What gives us the strength to go on? To overcome our personal and private anguish, to reconcile our actions with our aspirations for ourselves and for our church community, to fight our beautiful world, to wrestle with it until it yields the truly lovely and deep flavor, the zest in its marrow, equality, justice, love guiding us, oppression and hatred falling away like the chaff that it is. What is this one thing, my friends? It is gratitude. A deep, abiding sense that each of us is a blessing to this world. That all of us bless the world when we live with concern for each other. It is gratitude when we feel that living is truly miraculous and that pain gives us more chances to share and to love. When we focus on our gratitude, just to mix some more metaphors, the tide of disappointment goes out and the tide of love rushes in. Isn't this so, friends? Are we not grateful today and every day for this time we share, for this space and faith and love? And does this gratitude not prepare us thoroughly and completely for creating a new reality in our hearts, in our community, and in our world? A new way that builds on the resilience you already possess. Look how far you have come. You are resilient as a people and as people. And you seek the life-giving, the life-affirming zest of hope, equality, and justice. Doesn't gratitude prepare us for that? Yes, it does. After abandonment and disruption, after betrayal and confusion, you, all of you, chose to seek joy, to find the zest of life, to sit with eyes wide in anticipation for the goodness that was coming for you. I can't tell you the blessing it has been for me to be on this journey with you, how grateful I am for my early disappointments. And I can't wait to see what next year brings for us all. Do you approach next year with the excitement of creating yourselves forward? Thank you for nodding your heads. Can you reach for joy? Can you rise from the battering that life sometimes dishes out? Can you live fully into the blessed zest and abundance of community? Yes, friends, let's promise today and every day to feel zesty, to seek joy in ourselves, for ourselves, among all of us, and in the whole wide world. As you remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you are welcome, and you are needed. May you feel it so now and over the summer when we are away from each other.
As we extinguish the chalice, we extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Build a new way, knowing you have all the tools.
Yeah, but that.
Join us for worship every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua, a welcoming congregation. We are located at 3024 Cooley Road, 4 miles west of South Main Street, Canandaigua, just north of the intersection with Routes 5 and 20. Look for the blue signs just before the turn. Your comments about this program or questions about the church are welcome at 585-396-1370 or at our website, www.canandaiguauu.org. Producer and editor, Daniel Brigham.